Staff what?
Oh, there was-
Appreciation shirts.
Oh.
Right,
Was
so-
that bought through the school or the
Yes.
district or what?
It was through the school. It was through Lincoln. Lincoln paid for those with some of their own money as appreciation shirts. And that was the person, that's the person who designed and made the shirts for them. I'm sorry, that's the person who made the shirts for them. And so, yes, that was run through a Lincoln account.
Any other questions? Need a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Motion by Jeff,
Second.
second by David. Any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye, yes. Aye, yes. Opposed, same sign. 7-0 is passed. 5.0, hearing of requests and suggestions from citizens. I see no one present. Report from superintendent.
Okay, a couple different things. The first thing is summer school updates, but I got an email today that was really pretty exciting that I wanted to share. So there is the TSA, which is the Technology Student Association that you've probably heard about, that Mr. Miserel has done at the middle school and the high school. And so for our middle school group, they have different officers or people that have been assigned to the Kansas team, and our very own Jace Quirin from Parsons gets to do that, which is very exciting for him. So as a freshman, that'll be a big job. But we were excited, so we wanted to celebrate that with him. So summer school. The other day, Olivia said, well, what are we doing for summer school? And I thought, oh, good point. I need to share what we're doing for summer school. So I brought with me the Summer Boost, which is for kindergarten through third grade that had participated in the Kansas Reading Roadmap. They each get a bucket brought to their house by a teacher. What did they say they delivered today, Linda? 50?
And then 49, and they do it every week.
Every week. And so in the bucket, it's like a little bucket of summer fun. There's a book. So this is Pete the Cat at the beach. And so it says on here, Summer Boost 2020, going to the beach, bucket of fun. The fun idea is grab a book, a blanket, umbrella, head out to the backyard and dream of being on a beach. And so in it, there's a beach ball that they can blow up, and then there's some sunglasses. And if they wanted to go and have a free taco, they can have a little picnic on their thing. And then there's a couple little pages of things, just review little sheets and activities to do based on how old they are. The grades, K-3. So they're still working doing that. So we still haven't heard if that grant is going to be awarded for next year. I don't know. They just keep putting it off. I think we said, and that's from DCF, they said they would know by, I don't know, we've had
June 30th now.
so it'll be quite a while, but the teachers are delivering these to the porches, putting them on the porches and visiting. So high school is doing Edgenuity online for credit recovery. So there were 12 students that are enrolled for simply credit recovery. And they're working on their Edgenuity things, and the teacher is opening the tests and the quizzes as needed because they're doing it all online, virtually. So we were able to loan out some devices so that kids could do that. Now, so there are 12 that are just doing credit recovery. There are 29 students in addition to those 12 that are still working on credits from the spring with Edgenuity. So they're finishing those up so that they earn those credits. And the teacher's going to be in contact this week with each of the families to make sure they know we're still watching. You need to get on, do your work. So they're similar at home doing Edgenuity. Get on every day, do your work. They can get through those pretty quickly if they buckle down and get them done. So
is there one teacher in charge of all that?
there's what Jamie
That
Wells.
does the math, the science, the English,
Right.
the whole.
It's just like what Jeff Scheibe does during the school year, where he's in charge of all of those different, Eric was in charge of all those different areas. So that's the same.
So then they turn around and give it to the regular teacher?
No. So what they do is with Edgenuity, it's all online, even when they do it at the high school. And so they're working through these modules independently. Like there'll be little lessons where it teaches them something, gives them examples. They have to read something, answer some questions, do different things. Then they get to quizzes and tests, and those are locked. So they can't just randomly get in and take the quiz or the test. They have to contact the teacher. The teacher can monitor their progress. She's gone in to see where everyone's at, to see how much progress they're making, to see that they're actually doing all of those steps in between. And then she'll open those tests and quizzes for them to take them.
They contact which teacher?
Jamie Wells, the summer school teacher. And so she is the one that did summer school last year. So she's been in contact and is going to make sure all the other 29 students who are continuing to work have all of her contact info, so they know that she's monitoring that as well.
If they don't successfully complete a unit, they cannot advance, is that correct?
That is correct. So that's how that works. So, okay, what else have we got going on?
Are we having any small group with,
With Tri-County, not that, we told them that that was a possibility and they were looking into some of that extended school year, but I've not been made aware that they're actually doing any of that. Have you? So, not at this time, so. Okay, so that's, any other questions on summer school, things like that? Okay. We had a facilities meeting last Wednesday morning for about an hour to kind of go over some things that are happening in the district. We still don't have the assessment finished. COVID really threw a kink in that, but they're working on it, so we will get that. We've got paint crews that are working in each of the buildings. August the 3rd, they're coming to redo the gym floors. There was a little trouble with the initial application of whatever that is, put on a gym floor. Wax.
Sealer.
Sealer, wax, whatever it was.
It
Yeah.
had puddles.
It didn't look well. So they're coming back to redo that. We talked about the possible addition or reorganization to have some kind of a paint room at the high school for our CTE classes and kids. HVAC at the middle school got struck by lightning, so that was on the agenda. That's getting corrected. The middle school roof is something we're still looking at, that Garfield chimney. And then we briefly, for about a minute, talked about the soccer field and the proposal that the rec center had given prior to COVID. They were unable to come in March because of COVID. So I think there was some misunderstanding.
Yeah, I think I would propose, Mr. President, that we entertain some type of special meeting to meet with Mr. Hill and Mr. Chrisman, and whomever else, if they have agents or other people that are associated with this plan, so that we can at least listen to what is going on. I know there's a lot of different views of it, but I haven't heard the details myself, and so given there's a pretty substantial donation involved and some a local contractor is going to be donating some time and some in-kind services, I would really like to give them the time at least to talk to us, so we know what's going on, because I don't know much about it.
Lori issued an invitation to Mr. Chrisman this morning, either to come tonight or at a special meeting, and have you heard back from him?
I have not heard back from him.
Okay.
So I think because the group, when we talked at the facilities meeting, it was just a simple precursor. I mean, people have to realize that the focus for the last few months has not been on fields for us. It's been on school and remote learning and the COVID. And so it was just a matter of, the committee said, we don't want to donate all the land between Guthridge and the high school. We don't want the rec center, we don't want to give all of that to the rec center. That's all that it was. There was never, we didn't want to talk about it further or come up with a different plan or a project. And so I think there was, I'm not sure, I hadn't called Mr. Chrisman, which I needed to do, which was on the agenda for this week, but I did visit with him twice, once yesterday and once today. So I'm hoping that he's, I'm waiting for him to reach back out, but I do think we need to
Well, I think
schedule
Mr.
something.
Hill would be very interested in attending a meeting and/or video deal with Zoom, but I think he would
I
come.
thought you were a representative.
I agree with it. Sean needs to be included in that meeting.
I
He
agree.
feels like he's been left out. And you can roll your eyes, but he feels like he's been left out. And we've spent 3 years with the city trying to get some land up north, and we've got stymied every single time. And Linda, you were on the original committee when we had architects, we had drawings, we had proposals. Then they want to put more dirt out there, and that was going to cost $1 million. So we had to dump that project, so we didn't get much more help from the city. So then we talked about the high school. There's a practice football field. I guess Robbie Barkus was involved, as well as Caleb Reed, as well as yourself. But Sean was never involved. All he wants to do, like Jeff said, he's got a nice chunk of money that he wants to give to someone, and he wanted to give it back to his school district to do All he wants is a soccer field and a flag football field for kids. That's what he wants. He doesn't want his name on anything. He doesn't want any credit for it. He just wants to help out his school. That's the bottom line. But he should be involved, like Jeff said.
Well, we just need to figure out, just because somebody wants to give money for that doesn't mean it's going to work for us, but we need to figure out the synergies involved, because if it can help us, then we want to work to be partners and good partners, and because he's a friend of our district. And so everybody needs to sit down at the same table and get all the miscommunication resolved. And I would argue sooner rather than later, because our schedules are going to get more busy as the school year nears. And if we can get something worked out, it's as dry as it's been for 2 years right now, we might be able to get some progress on a project. So whatever the case, I would encourage Mr. Chrisman to meet with us, and we'll get Sean here and whomever else. So,
Should we try to come up with some optional dates or just let Mr. Crispin?
well, I think that,
We'll have to meet Sean's schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what I mean, both of them.
Let them, and then we'll figure out a way.
yeah, we'll figure out a way to do it done.
So I'm hoping to hear back from him.
Okay, good.
Just excellent idea. I think we need to, very definitely.
I think we do, absolutely.
Would it be fortuitous for us, to someone on this board, to reach out to Sean as well?
Jeff, you know him as well as anybody. don't
So
you?
reach out for what?
Just to invite, make sure he gets an invitation and when it could work for him? Or do we want to work through Mr. Crispin on this?
Sean will have an invitation. I've spoken with Sean today on multiple occasions.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
He's here often. He attends our church when he's in town. He's here often.
Okay.
We'll go. I think I'll get that. All right, so we're moving on, professional development. We are still doing a lot of teacher professional development and staff professional development right now. There is this week some professional development. I think you probably, in case you checked your email from KASB, they're conducting a roadmap to reopening school session on Thursday for board members and superintendents. And if you're interested in that, I have the paper. There's a link. It should have been in your email. It's Thursday at 1:15 or at 5:30. So, and I think it's going to talk about what school might look like when we open in August.
Who's putting that on?
KASB. So.
you should have got an email today, Lou. It came this morning.
Oh, I thought
saw
that was, is that the Wednesday meeting you're talking
No,
about?
I was talking about a Wednesday meeting, which they have
Yep.
still, it's not the lunch and learn, but they do have a Wednesday evening.
Yeah, Gary Sequels?
Yes.
So there's another one this
is-
Thursday?
Yeah, this is on Thursday.
I know
Wait a
it
It
minute.
just said reopening was the headline.
So 2 times you can log 1:15 or 5:30 on Thursday.
On
2
June
different
the
times.
18th. So I thought that looked like something that I'm going to do, and some good professional development as we plan and see, what's happening from a board perspective. So that'll be available. I want to make sure you know about that. We've got some summer reading that's available for staff that we've sent out some information about. So 2 different books. One of these, Lou had recommended the Courageous Conversations About Race. I've not read it, but we did order some of those, and those came in. And so we're going to hand those out when, folks want those. I've been reading this, White Fragility, Why It's Hard for White People to Talk About Racism, which has been really an eye-opening book. It really has been. And so there's a list of people that are ready to read the 2 copies of these. We ordered these way back, like January, February, something like that. So those are available for staff to read, which is good because I think we need to be having those conversations. So I'm taking a class. There's professional development that is free, which you don't often get quality PD that doesn't cost anything. But it's from the Diversity and Resilience Institute of El Paso. And it's 6 hours at no cost, and it's self-regulated. So it's like 2-hour chunks, but it's all these different videos, so you can kind of take your time and piece through it. But it's anti-racism PD. So I'm about halfway through. I'm going to finish that and then send the link out for any staff that might be interested in participating in that. So we've got technology trainings as well. So Matt Peak is busy with Google Classroom and Apple Classroom and Class Dojo trainings. So they're doing some of those at the tech building, some virtually. He's got a class through LCC as well. We've already scheduled August PD, which is exciting. So we're thinking we're going to get back in school and do that. So on the 18th, If you remember when we had that poverty stimulation and Rebecca Lewis Pankratz came from ESDAC, she's coming back to spend the day with the staff, to do some more trauma-informed training. And it's really going to focus on how we can best ease the transition back into school and the trauma that maybe have been experienced and kind of make that a smooth transition. So we're excited about that. And then, I don't know if you remember, I can't remember where the group went. There was a group that came and talked about, they'd gone to some professional development, and Sally Clay mentioned that there was someone there named Danica on microaggressions. And so I didn't know exactly what a microaggression was, so I went home, researched it and did a little looking at it. It's a statement, action, or incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group, such as a racial or ethnic minority. And it's indirect, subtle, it's unintentional. However, a lot of times there's always stuff for us to learn, and we need to be learning. So I've been visiting with Danica since that board meeting. And so we've got it on the schedule. She's going to come on August the 19th. And she's going to do breakout sessions, so we're going to have to figure out how we can get groups in to see her in different, hopefully they're at the high school, but it won't be the entire district. She said 60 is just too much, because there are going to be some difficult conversations. Last about 2.5 hours, I think. So we're going to get everybody's group in there on that day. So we're excited about that.
A comment about diversity training and sensitivity training.
Right.
Poverty simulation, those are nice, but one-shot seminars don't work well unless it's followed up continuously with more seminars, but more importantly, you need to be involved with the community members that we're talking about so you can understand what's happening in your own community with those people that are underserved, underrepresented. So if they're not involved, we're wasting our time. It's a good start. It's nice to wave your flag, but I'm just suggesting that it's got to go a lot further than that, period.
And I agree, it's a community issue. It is, and I feel like as the school, we need to start having those conversations. But we can absolutely invite other people to the table.
Well, that would be a good start, in my opinion.
Do you have specific people you'd like for me to invite?
I'm sorry?
Do you have specific people if there are certain people that you feel like you'd like to invite, or if someone's listening and they think, I want to be a part of that conversation, I want to hear what that training is, or what that, feel free to call me. People can call the district. But if you have folks that you would like to be a part of that conversation and that professional development, let me know.
And we might contact site councils or the principals.
Right.
And ask, who they think, or if people don't volunteer, go through the PTOs and site council.
And the administration is, we've all visited about this and the different kinds of training.
Some of the people that some of the parents of the people you've been serving lunch to, those would be good people to invite too.
They would be. We served lunches today too.
When you go out here to whatever you, what do you call it, Mendota? Call it Westgate, so, yeah.
I do remember when when the teachers gave their presentation and they all came back, really informed and ready to go. And I think they were going to do a little bit in each school.
And they did.
And so, at least it's a continuation.
And it is, and so.
I shouldn't say at least, it is a continuation of professional development that they've had,
Right.
so.
And the trauma informed, we've done that for the last 2 years. So, and the buildings have done it at different degrees. Some have done book studies, but it's all been something that has been consistently a focus through our KISA, which is our accreditation, but also with our district social emotional teams, and when we got the mental health grant. So it's been a process. I know, I've been around for 20 some years, and so I know what you're talking about, Lou. Sometimes you get one shot in the arm and then go forth and that's it, and it's never talked about again. So we have made a conscious effort when it comes to trauma-informed to embed that in what we do, and we need to start having those same conversations about race and diversity and those kinds of things, and that needs to be embedded in what we do.
Well, we've never had a better opportunity in
right
the
now.
United States to start making some effective changes. But it
Absolutely.
involves a lot of listening and a lot of understanding, and that's hard to do sometimes. It's
takes-
hard to change people's minds.
It is.
And you have to, kind of walk, you can't necessarily walk the walk, but you can walk beside some of these people that we're talking about and get a better understanding.
I think you're right. I think it takes a lot more listening and less talking. So we're working on that and getting started, which I think is headed in the right direction. You're right. So the other thing we've got is July the 4th is a Saturday. So the district office will obviously be closed on Saturday and will actually be closed on July the 3rd in observation of that, in observance of that day. So that's, I think, all that I have. Anybody have any other questions for me?
Questions, no comments? Move on to the Tri-County report. We had a hour-long meeting. It was very busy, but some of the action items, we approved the calendar for the office. We approved a contract with KSB for workers' comp. And believe it or not, that decreased, and I thought it was a mistake, but it wasn't. It decreased by $32,000. Premiums, because it had some really high dollar ones before come off, and it was a decrease of $32,000 plus dollars. I just knew when I got the agenda there was a mistake.
That was a good mistake.
Good mistake.
Yeah.
We approved a contract with Infotech, a memorandum of understanding with Dr. Gary Morrish of Olathe. He takes care of signing some paperwork for us for Medicare, Medicaid. We approved contract with Greenbush for several different items, including teletherapy and the IEP backpack. The most important one, of course, was we approved the district contributions, and it's about a 9%, 9-point-some% increase, and that number was, for us, was 96, is that right?
I don't have it right.
It was a pretty substantial increase, but.
It was right at flat 10, I think, flat 10.
Yeah. And we also approved the way that the contributions are considered, moving from adopted budget to the adjusted legal fund budget, which is just a little bit of paperwork, and that was a meeting. It took about an hour, and a little over an hour to do all that.
So in teletherapy, we still don't have too many speech pathologists.
Right.
Yeah.
We're already hurting for speech pathologists, so you young people out there want to find a career, that's it. Okay, we are next ready for 8.0, a report of the directors. Rick is not able to be here because of a previous engagement, and so if Ben is around, we would welcome Ben for his director's report.
What's happening?
Hello. So last time I was here, I had a cutesy little presentation that was, State of the Union or whatever. So we're busy, so I don't have that this time, really. I mean, it's mostly policy. I saw you guys a couple weeks ago. We're starting to get stuff in. Got about a pallet's worth of phones in. We have more to come in. iPads came in. Chromebooks will be in. The estimate is at the end of June. So that's the estimate now. It has not gone down, it's gone up. So it may be beginning of August, but there's 24 hours in a day and a handful of us. So if you times that by how long it takes to set up a Chromebook, we'll get it done. So if you guys really don't have any questions for me or anything, I'll be back at 9.3. That's mainly why we're here. I got Matt Peak out here too. So other than that,
It was all good information to get on the one-to-one before the meeting. I thought it was real good for us to go over and read.
Any questions for Ben? Thanks, sir. We'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you.
No old business, new business. Item 9.0 is acceptance of donations.
All right, that's on page 32 of your agenda. Garfield Elementary received box tops, an unrestricted donation of 50 cents. Lincoln Elementary received from an anonymous donor wooden puzzles, soap, miscellaneous items valued at $20. Guthridge Elementary, there were no donations this month. At Parsons Middle School, Vince and Jeanette Horton made a donation to the Fishing Club, the James Willis Memorial, for $25. Parsons High School, Wesley United Methodist Church made a donation to the Honor Flight Program for $235.17. And CIEE, which is the Foreign Exchange Program, made a donation to the soccer club for $200. totaling $435.17 at the high school, and for the month totaled $480.67 in donations.
Any questions on the donations and comments? If not, accept motion to accept these donations.
So moved.
Motion by Jeff,
Second.
second by Roger. No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries 7-0. 9.1 is the first reading of several handbooks, including the staff handbook, the student parent handbook, virtual Viking programs, student handbook, middle school course description, safe school plan, bus driver handbook, and parent-student transportation handbook. This will be on the agenda item in July to approve, but in the meantime, we have some questions.
If you have
I'll wait
questions.
for someone else to go first.
And I would like to say, I really appreciated the staff when put these together, that put most of the changes in red. It's much easier to see what changes were made from previous years, and I appreciate it as a way to get through the handbooks a lot quicker.
I haven't read them yet, so I'm not prepared with any questions.
I did have one thought regarding the high school on page 27. That's more or less
Which one
feedback.
is that?
Is that
On
the
the high
staff?
school?
Is that the
Staff
staff or
book?
the student?
Excuse me, on the staff, high school,
Which page?
27. As it relates to the activities eligibility, I know we had a lot of discussions regarding that, and I guess that this might be more request or appropriate for the end of the meeting, but to see how that process is going, unless you have feedback already.
I don't. I can gather some feedback. I think we would have better feedback had we been in school this spring, you know, to get those grades and to see eligibility-wise after the winter and first semester. But I can sure check on that.
Okay.
What page was that?
27.
27.
Of the student,
Okay,
blue cover.
the blue cover. I thought, there's a lot of handbooks, but I can check on that. I'll let you know.
Okay, anybody else before we get to Lou? Okay, Lou, you're up.
All right, on the parent-student handbook for Parsons District School, and I agree with you, Mike. I think the staff administrators did a really good job, and Eric did a really great job on the Parsons High School. There's a lot of good things that he put in there that I really, really like. Okay, on that parent-student handbook, there's just some redundancy that needs to be clarified. On page 38, 43, and 54. Page 38, cell phones. Students are not allowed to use cell phones on page 38. On page 43, students may have cell phones at school.
I think this is the difference between the elementary and middle school and high school, because I got kind of thrown off on that as well. I think
Well, I
on
thought
page,
we, as a board, we discussed what it should be in regard to electronic devices, and the real one should be on page 54. It should not, the teachers could have the cell phones, students at the high school could use them between classes and during lunch period. It should not disrupt the educational process was the bottom line, so
Okay, and the one on the 50 page is in the high school, and then the one on 38 is elementary, and then the other one, 41, is at the, what other, 43 is the middle school
The
policy.
parent-student
we
handbook.
don't have a uniform policy. I
Well,
thought we did.
parent-student handbook.
I don't think you can have the same policy for an elementary child that you have for a high school child.
With the cell phone. There's no
And that's why on page 38, that's elementary. And maybe we should clarify that with elementary students are not allowed to use cell phones at
Okay,
school.
that works for me.
Then if we, because I think, David, yeah, you can figure it out, but parents don't know that.
Yeah.
That just
Yeah.
Okay,
took
that's
me a
good.
minute. I was looking, because
Yeah.
that's the elementary section of the handbook, but it isn't, we just need to,
And then so on page 43, that
That's the
cell
middle
phone
school.
needs to say middle school students.
Okay, that works for me. And then the other one is electronic for high school.
So if we add those words in there.
That's good.
Okay.
yeah, that'll help clarify, because you're right, I was looking through there going, so that's a bunch.
All right, on the Parsons High School staff handbook, on page 13, I don't think Eric has it changed on the little actually it's 2 pages with both sides in regard to, it says on page 13, you have to have 25 credits. You won't be allowed to participate, but I know we changed that to
So it just needs, the language just needs to be
The
cleaned up.
college.
to 21, which is in this insert. So this hasn't been changed yet. So it gave us the handbook without the changes, it's just the insert. So I just want to make sure that gets done properly, and it surely will. And then on page, oh wait. Because I remember all of us agreed to that 21 credits, and you can
Right.
Clean that up.
Did we have any with 21 credits walk this time? Do we know?
I don't
Or-
think-
yeah.
We had one, did that person walk? That was a wonderful day of graduation. It was
Right.
just a really long day, but it was a really good day. So.
Just didn't know if
there
that
would've-
helped anybody out.
There would have
Sure.
been, it would have, yeah, I can think of 2 people, probably, right off the top of my head, so.
And then on page 20, grades number 6, I found this quite interesting. No assignment, if completed, should ever be worth a 0. I kind of like that. And then on page 21, late work. So that's to each individual teacher. There's no policy for the high school or middle school that's uniform.
Well, this is the high school, so I'm not sure. The middle school's different. It would appear they have to have a statement in their rules and regulations that will address late work, following the policy found in the student handbook. So then we'd have to refer to the student handbook, the high school section about late work, and see what it says.
Talking about high school. High school's on 21.
It's
talking
on
about late work.
56,
Oh,
right,
never mind.
but it's on 56 in the student
For
handbook.
the student, okay.
Yeah, because the one on 21 says, following the policy found in the student handbook,
Oh.
and it's on 56 in,
And that talks about the
This-
passes that they have to get the work turned in. So. It says that they have to have
Oh,
specific.
the homework pass?
Right.
Okay, so they're not jiving.
well, no, because the staff handbook refers to the student handbook.
I know, it's so much easier if you have it there, okay, obviously.
What you're saying, Lou, is it should say it in the
Yeah.
staff handbook instead of referring to, okay.
So they don't have to go hunt it.
It's kind of like on a resume, when you have a reference, you should have the reference on there so the person can read it and call them if they want to, instead of see attached or whatever.
Available on request.
Oh, available, that's
request.
what I was looking for, yeah. Just put it in there. Now, page 35.
Which book are we in? Same high school staff?
Yes.
Okay.
Has this been reviewed by the chief of police with all the stuff that's going on, with chokeholds and knees in the neck? I'm looking at this and I'm really kind of leery because the chief said he was going to make 4 major changes to the police department and more transparency. And we're going to be voting on a school resource officer, which is another issue that we may want to discuss in 2020. Nothing against Chris, but I'm looking at some of the seclusion. I just wonder if the chief has reviewed this again with what's going on in the United States right now.
I have not spoken to the chief, and this is a part of the emergency seclusion intervention.
I understand, I'm just saying.
Policies, but no.
So the chief has not reviewed this.
He has not reviewed the ESI policy
Okay.
in regard to.
I'm
Are you talking about
suggesting,
the prohibited types of restraints? or the whole thing?
I would, when we vote on a school resource officer, I'd like to see what the updated job description is for 2020. Because a lot of schools, a lot of policemen are resigning right now. And some schools aren't hiring school resource officers, they're putting their money elsewhere. And I'm not trying to put Chris Gabbard down, I'm just saying it's something to discuss with the chief so that we're all on the same page.
But it's also something to discuss if we see a need too, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
like, some places might see the need to not have them, and we might see the need to
Exactly.
have them.
But I would like to know, what are they allowed to do now with, what would the chief allow them to do, and then what would we say, okay, that's acceptable for us as a school board?
Now, we got this from,
This is
not-
from KSB.
Yeah, this is sanctioned by the state.
Right, it's a state.
But it's
right,
the things that are prohibited.
Yes,
Right.
yeah, that you cannot do.
Right.
But this was done before all this stuff happened in the last 2 months.
And I looked over this too, Lou, and I think it would match up things that you cannot do
Right.
to what's going on right
no
now. But it
use-
is good input to see what he says.
So what you want to do, you want the chief to review this to give
Well,
it
yeah,
his
because it
blessing.
talks about chemical restraint. Well,
And we're not doing that. That's prohibited.
It's prohibited.
That's something that's
Those
prohibited.
are all prohibited.
All of those
Yeah.
things, none of those
Cannot
things
do
are
this.
allowed. And there has
It
been,
says, except as prescribed by a licensed healthcare professional for treatment. What does that mean?
well, that means, for example, if you have a student that has explosive behaviors and needs medication in which to calm down or to,
And you could,
we don't do that. We have not, that has not been our past practice. There was a student,
okay, so that needs to be clarified, that's all I'm saying.
okay,
What about handcuffs?
what about handcuffs? I don't,
Can an officer use them with a student? Apparently they can.
They have.
they have. I don't
And they've
think,
done it to elementary kids.
and
I
some
don't
of
know if
that
it's in
too.
this district, but
Right, and I think part of that too is that there's police procedure when it becomes a police matter and not a school matter, and then the school isn't able to determine what they do or don't do.
and that's part of my point. That needs to be outlined so we could separate that so the general public knows what we're talking about. Because if you allow the police in your school, and he's a school resource officer, how do you separate us? He's a school resource officer, but he's still a Parsons policeman. So the police part supersedes the school resource officer to some degree.
Okay. I can,
Yeah, because basically this is for faculty, so what we can't do, you're right, we don't know what the police can do.
In other words, can they put them in a headlock? Can they put them in a bear hug? Can they grab their wrist and put it behind their back and twist it?
so really what you want to know is what the police policies are, not necessarily what school policies, and what that might look like in the school with the resource officer.
The police policies and our policy should have a certain amount of
Except we
togetherness.
can't do any of that.
Right. We don't do any,
Our staff cannot do any of that.
any of that.
I understand
All of
that.
this.
But what can the police do in the school?
Right.
And I can sure call Chief Spinks and reach out and. see.
But after hearing Chief Spinks at the Black Lives Matter, I think he's got a good handle on what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing as he's changing the way the things are done in Parsons. I appreciated that.
Okay.
And as far as school resource officers, when Dennis Dodd was here, he built up a really good relationship with our students. And that was about trust. And he happened to be African American, which even made it, for what's happening right now, it made it even better. Chris is a good guy. I think he's built a relationship, but I certainly would like to know what his new job description is going to be, because Dennis would come to my leadership studies class, he would talk about handcuffing, he'd talk about mace, he'd talk about ticketing people that don't have their seatbelts on. He'd talk about how you arrest people and take them to jail. He'd talk about what the jail was. He just made kids understand, this is what my job is. If you have questions, keep asking. And that's a good thing. And he was also part of the student council as far as that goes. So being a part of the school and teaching is, in my opinion, a good thing to have for a school resource officer. It takes the load off of some of the teachers as well as maybe the counselors. And I'm sure he works with the counselors too, so.
Well, and I can reach out to to Chief Spinks, try to set the time to visit about the new, what that,
I
what
would just
school
run
resource
this by
officer.
him and say, what do you think? What can we change? What can we add? That's all. I don't want them to become bad guys.
No, and they aren't in our schools.
I understand.
Yeah, I
I just
feel
said
like
I
they
don't
are
want
in
them
our
to become
schools.
bad
So,
guys
yeah, worry about it.
in the heat of the moment.
Okay.
Any other, Lou?
The middle school. Just on the middle school, on page 6, they have, on the bottom, they have 3 mobile carts, that's all? I thought we voted for, they would have more.
And that may not be updated. I don't
Okay,
know.
well, I'm just,
Okay, let me get to it first. Okay, so middle
They have
school,
10,
page what?
Jonathan's saying
Okay,
10.
okay, that-
Needs to be changed.
needs to be changed. And then page 16, Expo on Fridays will be called Friday Free Time. I wonder about that terminology.
Okay, well, and I'll tell you, when I was at the middle school 4 years ago, what we did is that was a part of an incentive. So if a student on Fridays, if they didn't have any Ds or Fs, they didn't have missing assignments, their tardies were, then they got to choose an activity that was sponsored by a different staff member during that Friday free time. But I don't know that it needs to be called that, but that's what it was. So they would sign up in the cafeteria, and they might take guitar. I know we had a teacher that did guitar, and they did book studies. and they
Okay, well,
did
that's a lot
cooking.
different than saying free time.
Okay, well, but that's what it was. It was, I guess it was free choice time. It was free choice, if, they meant that.
All right, one more and I'm finished. 37, they went into this long treatise about different educational philosophy. They talked about Bloom's taxonomy. Where's Maslow's?
I don't know.
Where's Waldo?
It's not in there.
Well, I mean,
That's all. Actually, like I said, they did a really good job. Just a couple of clarifications.
Well, and I appreciated all the strategies put in there, but that is missing. But
That is.
I really liked that was there.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
Lou, when you said Maslow's, what are you referring to?
here is the hierarchy.
Maslow's hierarchy, food, shelter,
Okay, I thought you were referring to, when we sent those.
Economics?
No, when we sent those teachers to Colorado.
That was for McCrell, which
Yeah.
was based on I know what you're talking, that was.
It was another M.
The instructional strategies.
It was
and-
it was McCrell and something else,
Okay.
because I went to
All
that.
right. Okay, all right, just to clarify.
I believe that we are ready for 9.2, which is a first reading on the home rule policy that KASB has sent us. And that is page 33.
And so I was glad that when Lou had asked about it, I reached out to Luke because I couldn't find it anywhere in our policy book. And when I reached back out to Luke and he got back to me, what he said was that it had been something that had been on a KASB policy update in 2007, had the different dates there, and he encouraged us to go ahead and add that additional language. So,
and what we said at the last meeting was, when you have an educational plan, like we do and other schools do, and we're under the COVID laws or policies, we don't have to do the hours or the days. That's waived until what date, I don't remember. August?
Okay, say that one more time.
Under home rule and under the new COVID policy for the state of Kansas, the governor waived, if you have a continuous learning plan, they waive the number of hours and/or days that you attend as long as you have a continuous learning plan, which goes until what date? I forgot.
It went up until May the 29th.
Then if it's renewed, that can continue. If it's renewed.
If it's, yeah.
We'll find out
Right, if they would,
July.
in July.
July 10th or 15th,
Yeah.
it's one of those 2 days, exactly.
You're right.
So when Jeff brought that up, yeah, we have to make it up unless there's a waiver based on the continuous learning plan.
Which is, you're right,
But now we have the policy in our handbook,
right.
which makes it legal.
So,
Any other discussion on home rule? If not, we'll go to 9.3, which is first reading of the technology plan, acceptable use policy. Again, this will be on our July agenda.
Joanne, would you work on the error?
Oh, turn it down? Yes, I
Oh,
will.
yes.
Everybody's got their job.
Thank you.
Turn it up or down?
Make it warmer.
She wants to make it warmer.
Up, thank you.
Warmer? Oh, okay, never mind. Now we'll get with
a little chilly.
Okay, Ben and Matt, you guys are up.
Well, I mean, you guys, we talked a couple weeks ago, and this is what we got. We took the acceptable use policy that we had. I haven't updated it since I got here. So it just, one of those things. So we've upgraded it to be relevant for this school year. Actually added a lot to it, but kept it in at least a similar format. So if you look at the old one versus the new one, you can kind of see what we changed. And then with that couple extra days, we were able to get that one-to-one technology, which would basically be tacked on to the end of that. So you guys have that I believe it's in your board packet. So, and then Matt wrote up this, what is one-to-one, that we could also tack on there either during enrollment or just actually have it on there, or that's completely up to you guys, so. I mean, it's really, do you guys have any questions for us on it, or some of the choices? The big thing we want to present to you guys would be that, on that one-to-one policy, are the fees, the money. So we did talk with every principal at least a couple times to get everyone to where they and technology and tech integration all could agree on kind of what, how we wanted to do that, for at least from our end. So this is a combined effort, is kind of what we put forward. And anything that's in terms of money is completely flexible and up to you guys. Just if we end up not charging anything, then I'm going to ask for those funds to be set aside, because we will have, it's just the cost of business. Repairs are going to go up. It's just what happens. So if we got $50 from every kid in the school district from K to 12, it'd be something like $62,750. So, and we've looked at all the different schools, and $50 is actually the lowest fee. It ranges anywhere from $100 to you buy the device to a lot of things. We're not recommending doing an actual insurance policy, because we feel that the rates that at least we've gotten so far, we're not, it's going to be cheaper just to have a tech fee and then charge for replacements. It was like $53 deductible and then $50 per incident, which a lot of times, we're still looking for different vendors, but we're trying to get at least keyboard touchpad costs down, because that's what we're going to be replacing the bulk of. And a lot of those run $35, even sometimes down to $15. So getting insurance on that wouldn't do anything. And that's what the bulk of what that's been. So that at the end of the one-to-one policy, that table, it's kind of defined above in the parent guardian responsibility. Then we put that table in there, and that shows, what we're putting forward. So I know it's really hard in terms of money and our financial situation in the town, but I mean, this is pretty fair, and it's trying to basically protect,
The investment.
correct.
We don't have a textbook fee still?
We do not. We
And
do
so
not.
that's been 20 years now that we got rid of the textbook fee after the tornado.
We did it after the tornado, and then there was a time where the board did collect those fees again. And then a couple years ago, the board opted not to do that. So we've not had fees.
Do we have a checkout form that students currently or parent guardian typically will sign?
In terms of, the only time we've ever checked out equipment is for COVID, and so we did come up with a checkout sheet. But this whole thing would be in enrollment, or when you get the device, you sign for it.
Okay,
The
that's
signature
my
part
point,
is
yeah.
not included on here. I mean, the signature is just, parent, guardian, student, however you want to do that. And we can, there's no point in putting that on here, because we're not finalizing it today.
I just
so.
think that needs to be part of
I agree.
the
Correct.
proposal. That
And I
way,
know we're already enrolling this year, but now that we have this, it will be in our enrollment packet next year. So I think, because we're gonna revise this every year. So we're basically, on the tech committee, we'll discuss it every year. And that's why right now, this is good for this year in terms of how we're doing hardware and stuff. We will add some language and remove some language for next year whenever laptops are going out and Chromebooks are coming in. So we'll update it to actually match what we're doing.
Well, and like you said, when we met, we'll have good data after this year about how much
Correct. This year's
costs
gonna be
really are.
a big data collecting year on how many repairs we have and all that. And I know the middle school administration, with the new administration, we've kind of talked and negotiated for what we're doing this year, but we may end up changing next year in terms of how we're handling the devices or some different policies. So, but we'll have the numbers to back that up to where if we can financially support it or not, so.
So I think the highlights in this plan are that the high school kids would take this home every day. They could take it home, come and go every day. And for K-8, it would stay in the buildings and be checked in. However, with the caveat that, or the contingency, if we went to remote learning, that they could take it home,
And that's why that's in here. So every kid, even though they're not going to be take home, in the grade schools, middle school right now, they will sign this that says, if it does go home, you are still responsible for it. So we don't have to then react. Again, we were very reactive. Now we're going to be proactive, and we already have, the policies in place.
And it may be that, Ben and I visited about this, that the middle school does have a few days where they set aside, they take it home, they talk with the parent, they show the parent, so they have the opportunity to practice it in their home and to do, but as a general rule, those K-8 machines for next year would stay in the buildings.
Yeah, and that could be at all levels, or we'll figure it out. I mean,
But that's kind of based on what buildings need.
correct, and we have to wait and see what school's going to be like first, to even if we can do that, or if they're all taking it home day one.
They would.
Find out.
So, but we do need some input on like the technology fees, in regard to the usage, the repair, things are lost, stolen, those are things that would be policy decisions. So they have some suggestions there, but that's something to look at.
Is this to look at, to act on tonight, or just think about it?
This is just to look at.
Yeah.
And then, so this is just the first reading of this, and then in July we'll adopt.
Mhm.
But if you've got some ideas or questions or things that you think, oh, wait a minute, what about that?
And that's why we separate out the acceptable use policy has nothing to do with money.
Right.
There's no money, there's no financial, it's student and staff responsibilities when they're on USD 503 equipment. And then the one-to-one section that's why we separated it out. So if you like the acceptable use policy, if you have questions on that, we'll come back, we'll fix it, it's good to go. But I think our main bulk for your guys' feedback is gonna be that one-to-one document with those money amounts.
When you talk about repairs, it's 100 or actual cost.
Correct.
Is that, but you don't charge any labor, it's just what the material or the item
Correct.
would cost.
Yeah, and we did, that's why there's that table, but then above it, or we actually spell it out, and we do put that in there, that USD 503 does not charge labor costs. It is only the cost we buy the equipment at, and we're trying to get that as cheap as possible. while still being new parts not used.
So on the full replacement cost, you won't ever have a figure there, will you, or will you? Will you know, so they right up front, they know?
I mean,
what it's gonna
we
cost?
could say around $300 is
Okay.
what we're sitting at right now. So,
That would cover from K to 12, roughly?
so we could put, approximately,
And so then you're right, then a parent would
I
know
would
right
say
up front.
right up front, they would know.
that's a good,
Now, you say, I see the next one is stolen. Did we not say if these were trackable, correct, or not?
correct, but I mean, if they're off and someone throws it in a dumpster, well,
Oh,
they're,
okay.
and I don't think, we didn't put anywhere in here, no verbiage, but in terms of it's useless to anyone unless they're using it for school. So we didn't know if this was kind of the document we wanted to do that in, or if just maybe during enrollment or during our engagement with the kids, because it's not just going to be you sign this paper and then we're done. I mean, we have lessons, we have some stuff we're looking at. What are some of the programs called that we're looking into? Sorry to put you on the
Yeah.
spot. But like safety, online learning, safety,
Online.
stuff like that. And we're thinking at that time, we could approach the students about that.
Right.
It's like, stealing this will do nothing for you.
And these aren't one that they can take home and do watch their little shows on and stuff like that?
Correct, and that's what, it's where, our devices, we can filter them however much we want to.
So all that is blocked or something?
Could be, I mean,
Can
it could
be.
be
Can
answered
be.
however.
Yeah,
And that's, we state in here too, any devices that do go home still go through our filtering,
yes.
so.
And everybody will have their sticker, they'll have an ID also, and hopefully it'll stay on there, the one that they get.
Correct. Yeah, asset tags, all that kind of, yeah. And we did order a system to track all that, and we are getting it set up this summer. So help desk system and an inventory system, so we can survive.
Is there anything, this is very ignorant, is there anything similar to what like a VIN number is, to where there's something actually embedded in the actual
Yeah,
Chromebook or
every
something that?
Serial, there's a serial number that you can't change.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's, yeah.
So if
it's-
somebody swaps out one with their friend or whatever.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Well, and we'd be able to see that this person tried to log into this other person's device. So we have the ability to do that. Because we do state in here that you're not to share it. It's for you for schoolwork. So. And we did talk with especially the high school for at least this year in terms of taking it home. That adds a lot more complications. That's why some of these stuff in the beginning of that is high school students in terms of take home, charge devices from home, cleaning guidelines. Because anything that's stored on our property, we're responsible for it. We did put in kids 4 through 8 are responsible for getting it out and putting it up nicely. I think we can, we could probably do 3 through 8. Okay. Well, we've got 3 through 8. So, I mean, you're looking at, Lincoln and Garfield kids, it'll be on the staff. Every day, the staff will open the cart, unplug the devices, and then they'll plug it in at the end of the day. So, that's just logistical stuff. We didn't want to bog down with step-by-step. This is geared towards kids and parents.
So once they take it home, then as far as charging, they're not going to be able to charge it at home, correct? Unless take it
They'll have a
charging.
power cord. Every
Okay,
kid has
they'll
a
be
power cord
taking
with
it,
them,
okay.
correct. And that's their responsibility is to bring it to school fully charged. And if they don't, what do we do with that? We're going to have carts in the office area that pre-cables run, and the kids will turn them in to there, and they don't get it until it's charged. So, there's got to be some skin in the game here.
Right.
So, and it's not that hard, and that's why we've suggested in here, we suggest that you just charge it at night. You need to come up with a charging policy at home and just charge it at night when you're not using it. And then when you wake up in the morning, it'll be fully charged, ready to go.
How long does it take to charge these? 3 or 4 hours?
Depends. Depends if you use the official chargers with them, they charge faster. I did notice with some of the stuff we rented out for COVID came back with unofficial chargers, so I'm sure those were maybe charging slowly, but again, with COVID and everything, there's some level of forgiveness on that, and it wasn't too bad, so,
Did we get everything back?
no.
No, we still do have a few devices, and some of our high school kids are using those for
Still
summer
using-
school or for the extended edgenuity and working, and then there are others that haven't turned them in. I'd say we're down to about 8. So how many there were? 11? Something like. And so Emily was making those calls today at the district office, and then we'll send something out, and we'll get those collected.
Yeah, it would be nice to have those like property of PHS for even charters and everything else that. is
Correct, and
provided
that's
by
what
the
we're
district.
inventorying everything, anything that is a cable big enough or plugging into a wall or, yeah, so. Because if a student loses their charger, breaks their charger, it's the same thing, that's now a repair. A charger's maybe, $35, that's less than 100, so it'd be $35. So,
On the life of the Chromebook, like when the freshmen get them, and the plan is that when they graduate, they get to take them with them, right?
that's the eventual plan, we're not there yet.
Okay,
We need this year to just get through.
to get it, okay.
And then we'll start that replacement cycle of ordering it for freshmen. And right now, we just got the big bulk order, and we do have juniors and seniors are going to be using laptops. So this is basically an off
Right,
year. This is an off year for one-to-one, but it's year one. So
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of learning on both ends. Policies may change a lot from what you see right now by year 2, but
Yeah.
we'll just be flexible, and it's whatever's the best for the kids and the staff, whatever works.
I have a quick question. On page 34, I talked to KSB, Kansas Associated School Board's attorney. This came up in the conversation. If you recall, some of the teachers sent us 8 emails, and one of the themes was they wanted to make sure students had equity and equal access to technology. Well, on number 1, it says equal access to technology. Every student, no matter their background or economic status, I don't know that you need to have background or economic status in there. That's kind of a hidden agenda term in my eyes.
That's fine, and this is the stuff that if it's our board policy
Okay,
that.
we'll have equal access to technology for educational purposes while attending USD 503 Parcel schools. And then we go down to section 2, number 1, user compliance. And this is where the wording may have to be changed.
Okay,
USD 503 views access to district-provided technology resources as a privilege, not a right. Once you go to one-to-one equal access, it then becomes a right. Not when we start tossing around that word privilege, what we could say, according to the attorney, is USD 503 views access to district-provided one-to-one technology resources as a right. As such, inherent with this right are responsibilities, because it's not a privilege anymore, according to what the attorneys told me.
okay, do you have that like in an email or documentation or
No,
something?
You
Okay.
can have Lori call them up and,
Because anytime, that's why it's kind of like with our guest network, everything like that, we've labeled everything as a privilege because privileges can be taken away. So,
so students have First Amendment rights, but they're limited. If you
I'm just saying as a blanket term, that technology, we've used that before, if we need to change
we
that or
went to
something like that.
one-on-one, it changes the privilege to a right. That's all I'm saying. According to attorneys, I'm not saying this, the attorney told me that.
Okay, well, and I can call KSB and visit. I need to call about something else anyway.
Well, and then the question would
That'd be-
probably
Yeah, if I could get documentation on that, that'd be great.
about if there's a reason why their computer is taken away from them, was there abuse, or what do we do about that?
Correct, and that's why we've labeled it as such thus far. It's because rights can. All right.
Okay, say that one more time.
Well, the scenario might come up, the situation might come up that a student breaks his computer on purpose,
Are there like 3 or 4 devices in, or we're like at the 10th breakage, or
Yeah.
whatever the.
And so what is our policy if misuse is a pattern?
I think if it's gross misuse.
Correct, well, and that's what we leave up to the schools. I mean, the schools actually have things in place, different levels I know that we were talking with the middle school, they had like level 1, level 2, level 3, kind of depending on, you know, what the scale is on that, but yeah, because, you know, rights can't be taken away.
Well, and you don't like to
privileges
think about it,
can,
but it
so
could come up.
that's why we've used that verbiage in the past.
But are we not saying, your teacher said it, and you said it right here, they have equal access, not equal privilege.
Maybe they have equal access, but not usage, so that if they all have access to it, but if they don't use it appropriately, then they, I don't know. I'll call KSB tomorrow, though. If I can do
I would
that.
Talk to
very much
Sam
appreciate
Blassie.
Okay. I was gonna say
It was a
that.
suggestion.
Okay. And I can kind of get some, some information from him about that, and
It wasn't Luke Silva, it was Sam Blassie. He's
he's
the
the Wednesday guy.
ace attorney, in my opinion.
Okay.
He handles all of our Zoom meetings.
Mhm, on Wednesday.
If I could get that on an email, anything,
It'll have to be in writing.
yeah, that'd be great.
I'll contact him tomorrow.
Because I'm not against it, it's just I want to make sure that we are using the right verbiage,
In the right
so.
spot.
Anything else?
I mean, are you guys looking at the fees? Are those acceptable to you guys?
They look appropriate to me, but
Again, we are on the low side, and I think kind of from your guys' response, I think that's kind of the way you wanted it. I know other school districts, even like Galesburg, I think, even really small districts are, you buy the device, you are responsible for everything. The district doesn't help at all in terms of money, financially, so.
And they did look at a lot of schools and what they charged, and this is definitely on the low side.
Which I think is, it's unfortunate that, we would have a technology fee, but again, I think it's very still competitive, so. And I don't know if you guys have talked about book fees or anything like that, or if you'd want like a $30 tech and $20 book, or that's completely up to you guys. We're just suggesting a fee and then a maximum, so those amounts are completely up to scrutiny, so.
what about regarding category of charge? I mean, does there need to be an additional one regarding it was broken, accidentally dropped it, and it can't be repaired,
That'd be full replacement.
I know, but maybe.
Well,
put it
max out at-
lost/broken, or something along those lines.
I got you. And that's the stuff we're gonna run into and that we may change.
So what happens if the parents don't fork up the $50?
That is a question that was addressed. And what happens if they break it and they don't want to pay for it? And that's where.
And how soon will they be told about the fees? They need to be,
Right.
if anybody needs to be informed, it'd be the parents.
And I didn't know if we send it out in a letter, if we do an all-call like you did.
Right.
And we could do both once the board decided
Mhm.
on what they wanted the fees to be. We could let folks know in July.
Yeah.
Because that's when these are voted to be approved at the next
Right.
board meeting, correct? Okay.
But I think that's a good idea, so people can budget, because back-to-school stuff is, it's expensive.
Right.
When you're getting,
And I don't
We've
know
looked
what we
at
do
if, you
if they
lose
don't
your
pay.
device or you're not gonna replace it or something, we do have certain desktop computers. So you may be downgraded to, okay, you have this computer that's on school property all the time, but then if they end up, breaking that, we could do tiers. And then we've been working with administration with the buildings to figure out what that's gonna look like. So, and really it's kind of, the high school and the middle school are gonna be the two, at least from Garfield, our experience with there, we had very little breakage, as long as the teachers are on board and very active, so.
Anything else?
Do students pay for damaged books or lost books?
they do.
And you collected money for every student that's lost or damaged a book?
No, probably not
That's
every
my
student,
point.
yeah.
And those are things we'll just have to face when it comes.
But don't we have a policy about the student has to be in good financial standing with the district before they can graduate.
That is correct.
Yes.
They're still given the diploma, they still earn that, but it does say that they have to be in good standing.
And we did have what if the child leaves the district and then doesn't turn in a device? That's kind of, we just looked at the book policy and went from there, because a charge is placed on their account, just like if they had library books and they didn't turn them in.
Right.
So,
Well, and then they don't get their transcripts in, to get in. That's the real terrible thing that happens if that really affects them. Because if they want to go into.
Wait a second. I thought.
I think that's
legally,
it.
You can't withhold a student's transcript or diploma because they owe money, am I correct?
Correct.
Oh, really?
And there's no,
When did that change? Or that used to
It's
be?
been in
It's
effect
been
for a long
several
time.
years, yeah.
Okay. I just remember when Jody was recruiting wrestlers sometimes that they couldn't get transcripts sent because of.
Some schools will drag their feet a long time before, but they are required to send them. Same with a student who transfers, you've got to send the records. No matter if they owe you a lot of money, you still got to send the records.
yeah, any verbiage, any other thing you guys find with these, just let us know. And again, we'll hear back on that and we can go from there, because I think we mentioned it a couple times in here, and we can change that, so, if need be.
Anything else, anyone? Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate your work on this. Okay, we're at 9.4 to set a July organizational meeting. We can set it early, set it late, we can have it at a regular board meeting if you wish, but that's late, that's what, the 20th this
it
year, I
is the
believe?
20th this year.
Which is quite a ways down the road. I would assume that probably the first week in July, the 1st to the 4th, is not necessarily a good time. But the week of the 6th to the 10th, if you want to set something there.
I'm not available that week.
Okay. What about the 1st or 2nd of July? Is anybody interested in that early?
I'm good.
What day of the week is that?
That's a Wednesday, Thursday, the 1st and 2nd will be Wednesday,
Fine.
Thursday.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
So you want to do Wednesday or Thursday?
What time Wednesday? Oh, okay. It's
Yeah,
open?
First thing.
Yeah, it's open yet, Lou.
In the afternoon, Lou.
7 o'clock in the morning?
Afternoon. Like
No.
evening.
Good, that's good.
You want to do it on Wednesday the 1st?
Sounds good. What time?
I'm good.
Noon? Is that not good?
What time?
Noon?
I know Olivia don't like
Noon's
early,
good.
so
Noon's
I'm
good.
just saying noon.
All right, let's do
Noon's good.
Okay.
Noon?
Noon.
1 at noon at the district office. And I might even be able to come up with sandwiches for you.
We can probably do lunch.
Okay? So I would need a motion to set this up, please.
So move.
Motion by
Second.
Jeff, second by Roger, to have the organizational meeting at the district office on July 1st at noon. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries 7-0. Thank you. 9.5 is action on a cooperative agreement with St. Patrick's Middle School for football, girls and boys tennis, wrestling, boys and girls golf. I've had this for several years.
We have, it's the same one. So Emilio, principal at St. Pat's, has requested a cooperative agreement for the year for those things that he had just mentioned. Kansas State High School Athletics Association, Activities Association requires an annual approval of that cooperative agreement for middle school athletics. So we've had a cooperative agreement for various activities for the past several years. So I would recommend that you approve that.
Move to approve the agreement with St. Patrick's School.
I'll second it.
Motion by Joanne, second by Olivia, to approve application for a cooperative agreement with St. Patrick's for this 2021 school year. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All carried 7-0. You might have them changed on who to send it to. I addressed it to Mr. Musson, who has been there for 2 years.
I can do that.
Okay, 9.6 is authorized transfer of funds at the close of the year. That's something we normally do so that they can close out the books.
So moved.
Motion by Jeff,
Second.
second by Olivia. And this gives the people an opportunity to do that. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, carries 7-0. Action to approve renewal proposal for property and liability, cyber liability, workers' compensation for the 2021 school year. It's a big, long group there. It had quite an increase this year, $17,618 increase. Made up for what the special ed got.
It did.
Who do we have that with?
Through Would do, Harry?
And EMC is about the only company, insurance company that will do schools.
Right, at this point.
And we asked Bob what caused schools to be so expensive when cities are not. And he said it's the roof coverage, because you have gyms, big roofs, and where the city might have one building, and we have all these roofs. Like our middle, so hailstorms or,
All insurance companies are doing that now. They'd be lucky to get a roof anymore.
Move to approve.
Motion by Jeff,
Second.
second by Lou. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, carries 7-0. Turn the page, folks. The next one is authorized participation in Greenbush Energy Group and the hedging authorization.
So this is, we've been a member of this Greenbush Energy Group for several years, and so we recommend that you continue that partnership for natural gas.
Move to approve.
Motion by Jeff, second by Lou. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, carries 7-0. 9.9, this is Intherm LLC to provide natural gas.
And transportation services for that natural gas for the 2021 school year.
Move to approve.
Motion by Jeff.
Second that one.
You said that? Second by Lou. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, carries 7-0. 9.10, approve fixed price food service management contract with OPA.
And this is the only one that applied? Is
It was the only bid that we did receive. That is correct.
Was that a 5-year contract?
So this is a 5-year contract. But every year it's renewable. So after this year, we only have to bid it every 5 years.
But if we wanted to bid
But
it
if we-
again next
if-
year, we could?
We could if we wanted to, I think. I mean, that would be a
there a
real
fee to opt out?
opt out of
Of
having them do
OPA.
no, not that I'm aware of. I'd have to check. I don't know.
Is this a one-year contract with them?
Right, it's my understanding that this is a 1-year contract, but KSDE, if you have an outside agency that does food, a food management company, every 5 years, you have to go through the process and open up and take bids, and so that's what we did. So we could stay with OPA for 5 years, and every year, we would renew it. But then at the end of that 5th year, we would have to open up for bids and go out and look again.
Yeah, my point was if a new player came,
Sure.
I think
We
there's
would have
some
the
strings.
opportunity
I'd like
to-
to know if there's some strings attached. I thought there were.
I don't know, Linda, are you aware if there's strings?
Someplace I remember that.
The strings attached were, they could get out of it,
Or
and
can
we
get
were
it?
left with nothing. And so that's what happened to us, was they decided not to renew, not OPA, but their predecessor. We had nobody to supply our food for the next year. And so we had to really hustle to do that, because we had no cooks, we had no staff, and so that was a real bad problem, that they did not renew the following year. That was the problem.
But this agreement right now would be only for the 2021 school year.
Correct.
That is correct. And so if at the end of next year, for some reason, there was someone else, or wanted to look at someone, that is something that we could do. It wouldn't be required by the state, because it's required every 5 years to do it for the state. And it's a big process. It was a lot of work. Barb and Tanya spent a lot of, we went to a meeting at Topeka on how to fill out the forms before the COVID, so. that this would be for for the district to continue to use OPA to provide meals for the 2021 school year. So I would recommend that you approve that.
So what is this, does the contract say 2021?
The contract says
20, right down below, yeah.
it was in the May 29th view, and so I didn't bring that with me. If that information was, but it looks like the contract is on page 60, 61, if that's the contract. It's for the price determination. These are for the fees, the proposal estimate for the fees, so.
I don't see.
Yes, I just texted Tanya, and she said, yes, there's a timeline of notifying them, like 90 or 100 days, or so many days we would have to notify them ahead of.
And there would not be a, okay, well, that makes sense.
But we can get out any year.
Any
Okay.
year, right, any year.
And I assume they can do the same thing.
Given the same amount of notice and things, so it doesn't happen like last time,
Well, and that's
where
what
we're just
happened
left.
the first
Hold
year.
back.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve this.
Move to approve.
Motion by Joanne,
Second.
second by David. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried 7-0. 9.11 is increased food meal prices, and this is not much of an option.
No, it isn't.
KSD kind of tells you what you're going to do.
Yeah, I'll move to approve that.
Motion by Jeff,
Second?
second by Joanne. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, case 7-0. 9.12 is a school resource officer. Lou, you have some questions on that?
Does it have to be done this meeting, or can we do it on this next meeting? When is this contract over?
It's over now.
It's over
Because
now.
school is out. He's not employed after school is
By
out
the
by
school.
us.
So
He
he's,
goes back on the police force right
Okay,
now.
so we don't have to approve this tonight then?
I don't know.
I don't
know.
I don't know either, to be honest.
When does this contract
It's-
start? August, first day of
When
school?
school
Right.
starts.
Historically, it's been done when we look back every year, it's been done in June. And so that's why it's on this June meeting. I don't know if there's some significance to that or not. I would assume there might be possibly, since July 1st would start the new year. And so fiscal year, possibly, but I don't know. I can check on that. When I asked last year for memorandum of understanding, it's the same one that they have used since we first had a resource officer. It's not, you know.
I understand. All I asked for was if there's a revised job description and the information regarding the chokehold and all that information I talked about earlier. I'm not against his contract per se. I'm just saying, I want to make sure that the police department and 503 is on the same page. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying no.
The language, that's what you want to verify.
That's it.
Yeah, I think the heart of it is just, continual, continual education, development,
Right.
professional development for our
Right.
resource officer as well. And in my personal opinion, I think we do need to have a school resource officer, and the fact that, with school shootings, I know with the safety committees, I think there's a lot of resources that the school resource officer does bring to the table, and even as a deterrent. So me personally, I would be okay with, moving to go ahead and saying yes to moving forward
Okay, well,
to
along with the, not contingent on, but with an updated job description as well as an updated restraint policy from the chief of police. I'll go along with you on that one.
So is that a motion, David?
yes.
Motion by David.
I'll second.
Seconded by Lou, to employ resource officer next school year. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried 7-0. 9:13 is executive session. discuss personnel and negotiations. And Lori, how much time do we need?
Say 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Anybody else have anything? Okay. We need a motion for 10-minute executive session.
I have like 5 minutes for a personnel issue,
Okay, so 15 minutes.
maybe 10 minutes.
15 minutes.
We should make it 20.
Do we need a break before we go into executive session? Are we okay for 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Okay, we'll take a break. I need a motion to go into executive session for 15 minutes.
15 or 20?
Do we need 20? What was the?
I
You
don't know,
said 5 or
about
10, so we typically go long. I'd just say 20.
Can you do your part in 5, Lou? You think?
I could do my part.
I hope so.
Okay, let's try 15.
Yeah, let's do 15, and then we need to extend, we'll extend. Make a motion, we go into executive discussion, discuss confidential employee information pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under COMA, confidential student information pursuant to exception relating to actions adversely or favorably affecting a student under COMA, and the exception for employee negotiations in COMA. 6:57 for 15 minutes. Re-enter this room at 7:12.
Second.
Motion by Jeff to go into executive session for 15 minutes with the board and the superintendent, assistant superintendent and attendance at 6:57, 15 minutes. Any discussion?
I second.
Second by Lou. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carry 7-0. Okay, we are back in session. We have action item number 914, which is action on personnel. Start with recommendations for employment, please.
Okay, and so we are on the addendum. So Sally Clay for high school cross-country head coach, effective 2021. Gabby Hinman, high school assistant volleyball coach, effective 2021. Jeff Scheibe, high school head football coach, effective 2021. Jamie Wells, summer school teacher, effective the summer of 2020. So I recommend that you approve those recommendations for employment.
So moved.
Motion by Jeff. Second by Roger. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried 7-0. Resignations, please.
All right, Charlotte Cox, mental health liaison, effective May the 28th, 2020. Tina Heinrich, middle school secretary, effective June the 12th, 2020. Brooke Hopper, high school assistant girls basketball coach, effective May the 25th, 2020. Megan Wade, Lincoln secretary, effective June the 12th, 2020. And Jamie Wells, high school girls assistant basketball coach, effective June 8th, 2020. I recommend that you approve those resignations.
Move to approve.
Motion by Jeff. Second by Roger. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried 7-0. That seems to be the end of the agenda, ladies and gentlemen. Got us being adjourned at 7:13.
Look at us, that was less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
Sit on the. At her seat.